Body shot, ooh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz, the legendary Polish power, is looking to bounce back from his title loss against Glover Teixeira against one of the baddest, most dangerous contenders in the light heavyweight division in Aleksandar Rakic. Could it be a kickboxing match? Could it be a grappling match? Could it be a little boring? Could it be exciting? It could be any one of those possibilities, which is why this is going to be a bona fide main event that you need to tune into at UFC Vegas 54. But before we even talk about any of the other stuff going on, folks, I do need to bring in my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself. AJ, brother, we have a card on our hands. We got some big boys throwing some heat. We got another co-main event in terms of a light heavyweight division via Ryan Spann and Ion Cutelaba. You talk about throwing heavy leather, brother. Angela Hill, Virna Jandiroba, Michael Johnson's coming back. Brother, we got a card on our hands. What are you thinking about it?
We got a card on our hands, Derick. We got a couple new people in here that are maybe not guaranteed, but more than likely gonna bring some absolute heat to this card, man. A lot of old faces, some killers on the prelims, bro. We got chaos going up here. It's gonna be a very fun week, man. I'm excited for it, brother. How you living?
I am living fantastic, brother. I mean, it's been a busy week here at the office, you know what I'm saying? But every single week come Thursday, Friday, I just get excited all over again. It's like a kid in a candy shop because I say, it's fight night, man. It's fight week. It's coming up right here. So I was actually watching the Katlyn Chookagian pre-fight interview, and she was saying, I'm a huge MMA fan. You know, I love the UFC. I love MMA. And every Saturday I watch from the first prelim to the main event. I watch every single weekend. And I was like, you know what? Me too. I do the same thing. And I love it. And I love that she's such a fan because it's so relatable in that sense, but it also goes to show in this tight-knit community that is the MMA community. I mean, brother, there's almost nothing else like it. It's like watching Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, right? You getting your fix in. You feel what I'm saying there?
Get your bowl of Cheerios, put out, get your favorite little slippers on, man. Relax by the fire, watch some Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah, it's Saturday night fights, and the only difference, brother, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I do see some people on Twitter every single weekend. They'll be like, I got my bowl of food ready, you know what I mean? I got my pizza ready. I got, the dogs in position. Like, we ready to get it. It's a ritual. You gotta love it. I do have some interesting news to note, though, man. So basically, we have a couple of anomalies happening on this card. Amanda Ribas, right? You remember when she fought Paige Van Zandt just a couple fights ago? That was like 3 fights ago. Well, believe it or not, that was her flyweight debut in the UFC. She got the quick armbar victory. 1-0 in the flyweight division. But now she's taking a major leap, brother. She's fighting Katlyn Chookagian, the blonde fighter who was on a new UFC contract, the #1 contender in the flyweight division, meaning that the #9 ranked Amanda Ribas in the strawweight division, if she beats Katlyn Chookagian handedly, she will then be the #1 contender in the flyweight division, up next to fight Valentina Shevchenko, which I think is the most ridiculous thing in the world. However, that's why you got to risk it to get the biscuit. Now, tell me, is that crazier, AJ, than this stat about Angela Hill? So Angela Hill, she's going to be competing in her 20th UFC strawweight bout against Virna Jandiroba, the most fights in the division's history. Now, Hill's 2 knockout wins in the UFC strawweight competition are tied for the second most in divisional history, right behind Jessica Andrade with 3. Hill's 3 knockdowns landed in strawweight competition are third most in divisional history behind Amanda Lemos with 5 and Rose Namajunas with 4. And Hill's 11 losses in UFC competition are the most of any female in company history. Brother, records on records on records. So you tell me what's crazier, the Amanda Ribas situation in the flyweight division or Angela Hill just locking down all the records in the strawweight division?
Man, I think it has to be the records on records on records, because just setting that many, both good and bad, because the most losses there, never a good thing to have. But the fact that Angela Hill is still staying with it and still grinding kind of is a little bit more impressive to me, man. I'm excited for the Ribas fight as much as probably the next guy, because I'm a big Amanda Ribas fan, man. Anybody that can go through and get knocked out twice in the same fight and still be smiling and ready to go again, probably not in her best mental capacity, but a fun fighter to watch nonetheless. I like Amanda Ribas, but the stats, man, the stats that Angela Hill has back to back to back, records on records on records, man, very impressive, man. She's been in a long time and still, what blows my mind, a little bit overlooked by the majority of the crowd, man. So hopefully she starts getting a little bit more respect, because Angela Hill is a real fighter out there, and with all the records to prove it, I like the proof in the pudding right there, man. What about you?
Well, listen, brother, the proof is absolutely in the pudding. I'm going to have to go with the Angela Hill as well. One of my favorite fighters, overkill, man. You got to love it. But the beauty of the situation is that she's on the how would you say, the less beautiful side of 30, closer to that 40 notch right there, and she's still getting after it, still jacked as ever, still trying to make a run at that UFC title, which is, I mean, come on, brother, that's the most beautiful thing you got to see. Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, all the older fighters who have gotten the belt, come on, brother. But that's neither here nor there. Let's not spend too much time on that. Now, AJ, we're still at 373 subscribers. A little slow on the growth this week. That's okay, because you know what, man? In UFC 274, it was a weird card, brother. You know, people came in, they was disappointed by Rose Namajunas and Esparza, and new, by the way, anyways. You know what I mean? So we're going to get back on that slow growth trajectory. And folks, we need your help doing that. So AJ, my man, obviously, you hit the YouTube when you're over there trying to check out the video. Short clips every single week, dropping at noon. So you can check in for what you want, get your little TLDR, or you can watch the whole thing. But my man, you got to let the people know, why is it important for them to check out this show? Because not only are we doing the wagers, we're doing the money lines, we're doing the prop bets, right? We're hitting pretty accurate. Look at the picks on the year, 55 and 30 for me. You in the lead, brother, 57 and 28. Give the people the spiel on why they need to tune in to this program, the best program on the planet, before we get into the main card, brother. What do you think?
Yeah, Derick, like you said, man, not only we giving you the money line, the bets, you know, our accuracy rate over here, both of us above 60%. You're not going to find that anywhere else on the entire YouTube, MMA, anywhere, man. ESPN don't even have the kind of numbers we're pushing over here. But the best thing that I always say, man, or like the kind of the proof that's in our pudding over here are the prop bets that we're hitting on consistently, man. We're getting the numbers that most people overlook. They don't see the value in certain X, Y, and Z prop bets, and guarantee next week, folks, whenever we show you the prop bets we're hitting on, you make it to the end of this episode or even the TLDR of the post show, we'll let you know which ones we're breaking it down. So that's the biggest thing for me, man. You got to check it out. You got to check us out, because we're consistently hitting X, Y, and Z on all these prop bets, as well as money lines, over and unders. We cover the entire gambit, and things are always, you know, up on the accuracy scale, if you will. If that's the best way to say it right there, Derick. What you think?
Listen, man, up on the accuracy scale. You already know what time it is, folks. Tune in. What else do we need to say? Subscribe, share the show with your friends. We appreciate you. And with that being said, let's move on to other news. Before we hit the poster review, brother, let's get straight into the TLDR, man. So listen, all right, we got 6 fights going on right here, and we are in consensus on 4 of our 6 fights, with a little swing on the last 2. So the first 4, obviously, we're taking Aleksandar Rakic. I shouldn't say obviously. We're going to talk about it more in a second. Aleksandar Rakic, Ryan Spann, Davey Grant, Katlyn Chookagian. Those are our 4 consensus locks at UFC Vegas 54. However, I'm going to roll with the veteran experience and the more experienced fighters for the last swing on the last 2 fights in Frank the Crank Camacho, who's had his longest layoff in his 16-year MMA career. I think this is like 200 plus days. And I'm rolling with Allan Nascimento, fighting out of Shoot the Box. I mean, listen, Do Bronx, Charles Oliveira, he's got a lot of momentum. That Shoot the Box camp got a lot of momentum. We're rocking with Nascimento. Brother, you're taking Torres and Hadley over here on the upswing. Why are you rolling with the young guns?
Man, I like the young guns on this one. And honestly, this close, we'll get into it later, but a lot of these fights are very close. But I like the way Hadley fights, and I like Torres as well, man. They're both young, they're spry. They have a lot of momentum going in their way. Both good in different aspects, but good for the most part all around. A lot of potential for both of these young fighters, especially going against savage, man. Savage old school vets like Frank the Crank Camacho. Allan Nascimento, a little bit under-tested, but like I said, we'll get into how all those X's and O's break down. But very fun fights either way, man. I like the young guns this week. I guess we'll see if it proves to be fortuitous or not.
We will see. And at the end of the day, it's a two fight lead for you, more or less. So if I hit, let's say I hit the beautiful 6-0, man, I think we actually tie. I think we come back to that 0-0 tie. So a lot on the line this week. But folks, once again, Aleksandar Rakic, Ryan Spann, Davey Grant, Katlyn Chookagian, those are our 4 consensus locks. I am rolling with Frank Camacho, Allan Nascimento, and AJ's rolling with Miguel Torres and Jake Hadley. With that being said, let's move on to a poster review, brother. So we have a poster in front of us. This is Jan Blachowicz versus Aleksandar Rakic. And at first, I was like, ooh, colors. I like it. This is something. This is interesting. This is new. And then I looked at it a little bit more. And then I looked at it a little bit more. And I was like, all right, brother, what the fuck am I looking at, man? I see some Jan Blachowicz and Aleksandar Rakic. I mean, they got the stare down. Nice. But then you just threw light heavyweight in red font, just slapped it on top and was like, all right, Microsoft Paint, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, let's rock on it. Listen, brother, I was impressed, and then I was underwhelmed, and now I'm just somewhere in the middle. So I'm gonna go off with a heavy rating off the bat with a solid 4. What are you seeing, and what are you giving it, brother?
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you, brother. When I first read this For some reason, I read fight heavyweight, and I was like, man, they're fighting at heavyweight. Like this is interesting. But and then I realized, oh, that's just my illiteracy going out right there. Light heavyweight, back at it. This is all right, man. It looks good. I like the little stuff they have around the head, whatever you call that little little smear they got going on. I was gonna give it a 6, man. Usually I'm a little more critical than you. So with the 4, that hits hard. But I'm going to 5. We'll go 6. We'll go with the original score I was gonna give it, man. I'll go 6.
Yeah, you got to be charitable. Someone got to be charitable every week, right? I think it's you this week. But yeah, I'm not having it, my man. Either way, I do think that some of these cards, this is a little bit of a sleeper card. It's always kind of what we get after a numbered pay-per-view event in the UFC, but I think that they just could have did a little bit better. That's all I'm going to say. All right, folks, 55-30 MI on the year. 57-28 is AJ, both over about 64% accuracy. You got to love it. Now, AJ, my man, we're going to be taking a review. I'm going to have you go back to a fight that you talked about last week, brother, for a sleeper that got scrapped at the last second, I think, or maybe it was the week before. Either way, let's get into some sleepers, brother.
It's time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, brother. So basically what we have here is we have a rebooking of Tatsuro Taira versus Carlos Candelario. And this was a fight that got scrapped last second. I do want to say maybe this was 2 weeks ago, maybe at this point. But either way, it could have been last week. Time doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't matter. Brother, break it down. Talk to the people.
Man, until you know what's funny, Derick, before I get into it, I read their names. I was like, man, I feel like I've done this before, but either way, I'm excited to see these guys fight, man. Yeah. I'm very excited. I don't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but either way, man, Carlos Candelario and Tatsuro Taira are going to be absolutely a banger match in the 125-pound class, man. Carlos Candelario, this dude's a crazy wrestler, man. Good ground and pound, good pressure the entire time. He lost his contender series fight against Victor Altamirano, but that's a little, debated on how it actually went down, man. He was doing really good, very ground heavy attack, nice hands, smooth on the hands, but he's looking to set up his shots with those hands to get you to the ground, excuse me. Now his opponent, man, Tatsuro, however you say his name, excuse me. This dude's a killer, man. Hands, feet, on the ground, standing up, undefeated fighter coming out of Japan with a lot of heat coming behind him, man. This one's going to be very interesting because of how the X's and O's lay out. Whether it's, standing on the feet, Taira might have a little bit of advantage right there where he's, a little faster, a little slicker. On the ground, they're a little bit more balanced, I guess you could say, because Candelario, he's going to be that top heavy pressure wrestler. Taira is going to be on the ground looking for submissions, hunting submissions consistently. This is going to be a very intriguing technical chess battle we have in our hands in the 125-pound class, as well as a very fast-paced, energetic fight going the entire time, man. Whether it finishes in a decision or, submission or KO, I don't actually know, because these dudes have all the skills to be fighting any which way we can see this fight going, man. So I'm very excited for this one. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled, because I promise this one's going to be a banger. Derick, what you think about it?
I mean, if it gets canceled, third time's the charm, right? We'll see what happens. But that's going to be a fun fight, man. Like we said, we just talked about this one on the last show or the show before. This is going to be a banger, and you know that it's going to be a banger because AJ picked a flyweight bout out of all of the fun bouts that we have on the prelims. But for my sleeper, I'm going with some more solidified names. I'm going with some people who honestly should be on the main card, but they're a prelim anyways. And I'm going to be rocking with Virna Jandiroba, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace, versus Angela Overhill Kill, the lady I was just talking about in the intro about all the records she's smashing, good and bad. And this is going to be a fun matchup because both of these fighters are 5'3", 64-inch reach a pop. However, completely different specialists in their own way. Virna Jandiroba came into the UFC as a pure jiu-jitsu specialist who had to work on her hand. She had very little striking. Her striking, there was much to be desired. Angela Hill came into the UFC as a Muay Thai striker with basically no grappling. Her grappling, there was much to be desired. Now here we are today, where Virna Jandiroba was able to go toe-to-toe in her last fight against Amanda Ribas. Lost that one, but it was still a good fight. She went toe-to-toe with Mackenzie Dern. Lost the fight. It was still a good fight. Either way, not getting submitted, going back and forth on the strikes. Angela Hill, on the other side, has been on the wrong end of a lot of controversial split decisions nonetheless. She's been able to hold her own with Amanda Lemos, Tisha Torres, Michelle Watterson, Claudia Gadelia. Whether win or lose, this is a striker who has got her grappling chops up, and then we have a grappler who got her striking chops up. So this is why this is going to be a fun sleeper for me, because there's a lot at stake here. Angela Hill cannot afford to lose another fight. another 2 fights, really. At this point, she is 13-11 in her MMA career, 8-11 in the UFC, and she's still in the top 15 of the women's strawweight division in the UFC. Now, does that mean that the division is shallow? Does that mean that she's undeservedly there? I don't think so. I think that's how good of a talent she is, and Dana White himself also sees how she's been robbed by the judges. Now, AJ, when it comes down to it in this matchup, Jandiroba has gotten her hands increased, but her grappling is still next level. I mean, she's one of the few fighters Mackenzie Dern has not been able to submit when she has fought. Now, she has 13 submission victories, 1 knockout, 3 decisions, 5 knockouts for Angela Hill, no submissions, 8 decisions. So clearly there's a higher level of threat for Virna Jandiroba, but I think that Angela Hill's Muay Thai is just like levels and levels and years above Virna Jandiroba. Does this spell just a super fun specialist matchup in your eyes the same way it does for me, or am I tripping here?
No, man, I see it exactly the same way you, Derick. Whichever fighter is going to be the better one on that night, we're going to see some high-level skills being put on display, man. And I agree with you. The stakes almost have never been higher for Angela Hill. She needs this win, man. She already has the most losses in, was it divisional or company, whatever it was.
In women's history of all divisions.
History, exactly. Yeah, she needs this win, man. And also so does Virna Jandiroba. Jandiroba came in hot and kind of on that streak where she's kind of fallen to the pressure that bees, man. So both of these fighters really need this win. Either way, it's going to be very exciting.
And that spells for a fun sleeper, folks. So tune in. There's literally only like 5 prelims. We gave you the 2 best ones right there. So I will just leave that for what it is worth. Now, let's move on to a little bit of main card action.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
And brother, we got to go straight off the bat. Jan Blachowicz, the former light heavyweight champion, the legendary Polish power, is fighting a kickboxer in Aleksandar Rakic, who is so skillful, who is so technical, who has so much power, but is oftentimes lauded as boring, because he has these point fights. He has these kind of low volume fights. Now, I was looking at some stats for him, and aside from one fight, I think the most significant strikes that he's landed in is like 6 UFC fights, maybe 5 of the 6 of them, or 46 and under. And then he had one fight against Justin Ledet, who is a kickboxer himself. I don't think he's in the UFC anymore, but he landed like 100-something significant strikes. A lot of it was just ground and pound work right there. So this could be a very low-scoring bout in terms of volume. This could be a very technical 5-round, I don't want to watch this anymore. This could be a Thiago Santos versus Aleksandar Rakic all over again, honestly. But it could also not be. Jan Blachowicz has to be more motivated than ever, given that he just held gold around his waist, around his shoulder, loses it kind of immediately. Like what? His title defense was Israel Adesanya. So you defended your title against a middleweight, and then you lose it to the oldest light heavyweight in the division. How much of a chip on his shoulder do you think Jan Blachowicz holds going into this Rakic fight?
And he doesn't get the instant rematch, Derick.
Yeah.
He has to have a massive chip on his shoulder, man. But the Polish power is getting overlooked by all the powers that be out there, man. And you know it has to weigh on him heavy because you're going in, like you said, man. You finally get gold around your waist. Was the stoppage of Dominic Reyes a little soon? You could debate that one, but I think it was a good stoppage either way. Jan Blachowicz had the gold and then comes in and defends it, yes, against a smaller guy, Izzy, but he showed that he's a good wrestler out there. Then going against Glover, Glover does what Glover does best, man, shows up when it does. So now this is the time for Blachowicz to actually come in and prove that he's the real deal number 1 contender, because a lot of people, man, 2-3 years ago, Rakic was on top. Everybody was claiming this is going to be the next champion. Now Blachowicz has the time to come in and actually prove that he's the real deal. I don't think he's going to make this a boring fight. I think Blachowicz is going to come in, put the pressure on, prove that he's the better fighter, better wrestler out there, get the win and get things going if he can. I don't think he's going to we already saw the picks, so I'm going with Rakic, but I don't think Blachowicz is going to make this a boring fight. I think with the pressure he provides, Rakic is going to have opposition coming back at him to get the pressure off him. You know what I'm saying, man? Because that Polish power is real deal. You don't want this dude on the front foot the entire time while you're trying to point fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one thing that I see being an advantage for Aleksandar Rakic going into this fight is that his long-range capacity is kind of deadly, right? He could hit you from so far away. He's 6'4", so he has a 2-inch height advantage on Blachowicz. Same reach, but he uses those long legs to close a lot of distance, man. Those head kicks, body kicks, leg kicks. I mean, look at what he did to Anthony Smith, man. He just butchered the man's leg, immobilized him, took him down, and then ground and pounded him for the rest of the fight. Now, do you want to take a grappling approach against Jan Blachowicz? Probably not, right? I mean, that's literally his specialty. I mean, Jan Blachowicz is a legit striker. He's got bombs in his hands, but lest we forget, he kind of came into the UFC just snatching necks, choking people out, have a great submission game. He has more submission wins than he does have knockout wins on his record, by the way. So I don't think that would be the best decision for Rakic, but I do think that how does Jan Blachowicz get the takedown? How does he get Rakic to the ground? You have to get past those legs, past those arms, and I just don't know, man. Aleksandar Rakic is such a talented kickboxer. I just think that it's out of, not necessarily out of the realm of possibility, but I think it's low percentage that it's going to happen. Now, AJ, do you think Rakic gets a little bit of a bad rap because of that boring label that is on him? Like, I feel like people just don't want to watch him, but sometimes when you're so technical, when you're so good at not getting hit and nullifying some of the baddest strikers out there, the Thiago Santos, look, he had a split decision loss against Volkan Ozdemir, another banger right there. Knocked out Jimmy Manuel, knocked out Devin Clark, but when you're able to nullify some of these like high-level strikers, you get called boring, and then people discredit you. But do you think it's deserved or not?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think it's deserved at all, especially from someone who likes striking and sees the technique behind it and the chess match that's going on. I enjoy seeing those technical fights, but I can see how a lot of people think it's boring, especially because once you're up there in the upper echelons of the division, everybody's a really good striker for the most part, you know? So it's they see things coming. As boring as a point fight really can be, I find it interesting, but I can see how other people don't.
Well, so with that being said, man, Jan Blachowicz coming in as a plus 140 underdog, that obviously means the odds makers are seeing a lot of favor with the minus 160 favorite in Aleksandar Rakic. It was kind of blew my mind a little bit because I was like, this dude was just the champion, and now he's being overlooked. And obviously, like you said, the TLDR, we're both rocking with Rakic. In this pick right here, but it made me feel like I was like, am I discounting the champ? Am I discounting Jan Blachowicz? Am I just kind of like sweeping him under the rug? And I don't think so, because the other thing you have to consider is the age gap right here. Blachowicz is what, 39, right? Rakic is 30, so this is a major youth discrepancy right here. And what does it mean to you that Jan Blachowicz not only got his chin tested against Glover Teixeira, but he also got taken down and kind of mauled on the ground? Because Rakic is a good grappler too, and that power is probably Yuri Prochazka-esque right there. Maybe not there, but I think it's up there. So what does it mean to you?
Yeah, if his power isn't Yuri Prochazka-esque, it's right under it, man. Rakic has some serious heat on his hands. I'm interested because when going into this fight, I instantly thought Blachowicz, like, this dude has all the skills, and I started really breaking it down. Like, maybe not, man. If Rakic can fight like he did back, a couple years ago, especially with the Jimmy Manuel, the Devin Clark on the come up, even the Anthony Smith fight, like you said, very devastating fight, just boring to some people. If he can fight that way, he's going to do very, very well, man. And especially if he can put Jan Blachowicz in a position where he doesn't feel comfortable, like on his back, like Glover did, where Rakic is actually controlling the entire fight. Then we're going to see really how Blachowicz actually responds to pressure, man. Because as far as, going through his whole career, it's never been really the domineering performance where he's always, no matter what, no matter how big the mountain is, he's going to win. So if Rakic can do that, provide that big mountain, then we're going to see kind of how Blachowicz stands, fights, whatever it is. But either way, I think if Rakic can do it, man, that's when we really start getting the fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. The last thing that I want to take away from Jan Blachowicz in that 5-fight win streak that he had when he had claimed the belt and all that good stuff, within that streak, 2 of the fights that he had in that streak were against either 185ers or 185ers who moved up to 205. So Israel Adesanya, but that's the champ though. But it's still a big win, but it's a 185er, right? And he also had when he knocked out Luke Rockhold, who moved up from 185 to 205, and it was his 205 debut in the UFC, and he got starts right there. So I kind of want to put that out there. You also have wins against Jacare, Corey Anderson, Dominic Reyes. Like, you can't take anything away from that. But Aleksandar Rakic, you also have a hit list. Like I said, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Jimmy Manuel, Devin Clark, right? All that good stuff. So I would just kind of leave that there. Aleksandar Rakic, as a striker, I think has the edge. Blachowicz, I do think, has the grappling edge. Leg kicks are going to be something that we're going to need to watch out for. I think that could change the entire trajectory of this fight. But the big key right here, AJ, is the props. Now, I think Aleksandar Rakic, this is me personally, this is a man who has 4 decision wins in his short 16-fight career. Jan Blachowicz has much more experience, but like I said, he's also an older fighter, 11 decision wins for him. I think Aleksandar Rakic could pull out a points victory right here. I don't really see a knockout coming out because Jan Blachowicz has only been finished twice. don't really see a submission. So on points for Aleksandar Rakic right now, we're looking at plus 175, brother. The odds makers really like that one. I mean, plus 175 is pretty low. However, for Jan Blachowicz, I mean, for TKO, plus 425, submission, plus 100. Interesting. Let's keep that in mind. And on points, plus 400. So the odds makers are thinking if Rakic wins, it's by decision. If Blachowicz wins, it's probably going to be by submission, which I think is very, very interesting. However, the question now comes down to you and me. I mean, what do you like for a prop right here that you're willing to roll on this week for UFC Vegas 54?
Yeah, I like the Rakic by decision, by points. You know, I like that one a lot, especially like you said, plus 170. I like that going into it because I agree. That's exactly the note I have right there too, man. Rakic is more likely to win a point fight, where Blachowicz is more likely to get the stoppage. I thought it was going to be KO TKO, but now going off that prop bet, I mean that plus 100 for submission, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Blachowicz can get that submission. Which, if you're looking to get a Blachowicz win, I think that's a good prop bet to have. But like I said, I like a little bit more of the Rakic by points. What about you?
Yeah, I like Rakic by points right here, especially given that, I mean, let's look at the line. Minus 165, that's one thing right there. Or you could take the plus 175, right? So I'm going to take the plus 175 on Rakic. He is, I mean, if you look at his last 3 fights, they've all gone to decision. If you look at the last 2, he's been very comfortable with the I don't need to rush things. I will take my time and I will get the decision win. This is a 5-round fight too. So over the course of 5 rounds, can Rakic just hold up and play that technical, inside of his game, that Rose Namajunas stick to the game plan? Maybe. I think so. So it looks like points across the board. The over and under on this one is 4.5 rounds. So clearly we're taking the over for both of us right there. And it looks like that is going to be the pick for your main event at UFC Vegas 54. Now, brother, we can move on to an interesting co-main event, man. Ryan Spann versus Ion Cutelaba. You have a striker grappler versus a grappler striker? Another striker grappler? I don't know how you want to call it, but Ryan Spann, who, I mean, let's be honest, brother, he had a rough outing in his last fight against Anthony Smith where he got rear naked choked in the first round. He's going to be fighting Ion Cutelaba, who is actually coming off of 2 interesting performances, right? He had the Dustin Jacoby fight, one of the best kickboxers in the division. He got demolished in the first round and then came back to fight for a draw. All right, that's cool. And then you fight Devin Clark and you get a unanimous decision win where he basically said, I'm going to turn my style from the Hulk. I'm going to just smash you to... Let me incorporate some of that Greco-Roman that I have, you know what I mean? Let's mix it up a little bit. And I think that's been the best thing for his career thus far because after those back-to-back TKO losses against Magomed Ankalaev, the future light heavyweight champion, by the way, my dark horse for, I feel like, years now at this point, but that's neither here nor there. After he had those 2 losses, I feel like he had to reevaluate and say, I don't know what's going on here. In the UFC, he's 5-5-1 with 1 no contest. So you kind of have to just go up from here. You don't want to go down any further. Ryan Spann is not an easy man to do it against, though, man. When it comes to frames, this is another one of those interesting ones. 6'5" is Ryan Spann. 6'1" is Ion Cutelaba. 79-inch reach for Ryan Spann, 75-inch reach for Ion Cutelaba. How does Ion Cutelaba close the distance to incorporate his Greco-Roman wrestling against Ryan Spann?
Man, he's going to have to avoid those leg kicks because that's the big thing, Spann, too, man. Going to be blasting kicks up the middle, down to his legs. If Ion Cutelaba can actually get on the inside for that boxing range and then utilize that Greco-Roman, I believe it was, it was you telling me this, Derick, where he was saying that Ion Cutelaba's in there rocking the UFC shorts, actually doing the grappling matches, man. So we know that he's been doing the training, man. He's been getting it in there, going, seeing the Hulk. I can only imagine how it is. But the fact that he's working on those entrances, mixing some other stuff up in his game, that's how I think he gets it done, man. Starts off with the boxing, but then gets chest to chest, whichever it's going to be, the Greco-Roman takedown or just a classic one leg and dump, whatever it is. I think that's the best way for him, man. Although Ryan Spann, he's also very talented in that ground game, so it's going to be interesting to see. I agree with you, though. The best things that could have happened to Ion Cutelaba were the 2 Magomed Ankalaev losses, and then realizing that you can't just run through and smash everybody, even a guy like Dustin Jacoby, and you got to go out and do what's best for you. If he implements that, I can see him doing a lot better in this fight. What about you?
Yeah, I agree there. I just think that you have to be careful of Ion Cutelaba. You just take Ryan Spann down. It's not like you can just take him down and have no worries, just smash him, right? Because Ryan Spann, even though he's a better hammer than he is nail most times, yeah, his grappling chops are legit. 11 submission victories, 5 knockouts, man. So he's clearly a specialist in that way if that's how you want to look at it on paper. This is also an orthodox versus southpaw matchup, man. So it's going to be interesting how the lead hands are kind of just going to be, touching up on each other. You know what I mean? Who's going to win that foot battle? It's going to be interesting in the striking realm. So who do you think has the striking advantage, Spann or Cutelaba? It's like they're different. Cutelaba has the big bricks of power bombs, and Ryan Spann could be a little more technical in his striking. So who do you give the edge to?
Yeah, a little more technical, but he can also still get a little loose in there. That's kind of why I like Spann a little bit, man. He can get a little wild in there. I think Spann's more likely to win that decision point battle, striking contest fight. Where Ion Cutelaba, he has that kind of crazy power that once he feels that he's hurt you, he's gonna go in blitz mode, and that can always end up either good or bad for you. Where Spann's a little more consistent, if you will. Who do you think?
Yeah, I like to give it to Spann just because Ion Cutelaba, with those big bricks in his hands, he does tend to load up and overextend from time to time. Spann does the same thing, but for Cutelaba, man, I just think that his is more of a have to hit you with the one-hitter quitter or the ground and pound a bunch of strikes. For Ryan Spann, I think he could stiff you with one of them. But my real question right here, AJ, in terms of this matchup, Ryan Spann versus Ion Cutelaba. Oh, everything good over there, brother? Yep. All right. Cool. In my estimation, Ryan Spann versus Ion Cutelaba, like this is a pretty high stakes matchup. Not the highest stakes matchup at the end of the day, but this fight happens 10 times. AJ, let's just say this fight happens 10 times. How many times out of 10 does the fight get finished?
Fight get finished before inside the distance?
Yeah.
Man, I'm thinking like 7 or 8. Like it gets finished a lot. Yeah,
I think so too. So that's why I'm just kind of look at it, and I was like, all right, well, when I'm looking at the props for this one, because by the way, Ryan Spann plus 175 underdog, which once again very interesting, given that Ion Cutelaba is the shorter stature man, right? The man who's going to have to do a little more work to get on the inside. He's a minus 210 favorite. But this is the props that we got right here. For a Ryan Spann TKO, plus 400. This is the interesting one for me right here. Ion Cutelaba for a TKO, minus 125, brother. They're in minus money for Ion Cutelaba. That's how confident they are that he gets the finish on Ryan Spann. So if you had to take Spann on points at plus 400 or Spann via submission at plus 1200, or Ion Cutelaba with that minus 125 TKO, I mean, what would you take, brother? Or you could take the plus 600 points for Ion Cutelaba too, but I mean, that's how they're very confident that he's going to really get that TKO.
Damn, they're very confident, man. Minus money with a plus 600 for the decision on Cutelaba. I mean, it seems unless the odds makers know something we're not, and they're watching him practice, and they kind of know something that Spann isn't going to be able to do. It's intriguing to see a minus for that KO, but I like the Spann by points. I mean, that what'd you say, plus 200?
Brother, it's plus 400 for Spann on points.
Plus 400 for Spann on points, man. That's what I'm taking all day. That plus money right there is very, very nice. And Spann of the two is more likely to win the decision battle. But I mean, the KO, I agree. Cutelaba is more likely to get the KO in my book too. So if you're a Cutelaba fan, I mean, minus money, yeah, it is what it is, but I could see it happening. Whereas the Spann is a little more up in the air of the decision, if you will. Like that one, both of them could win that decision. It's a little bit more uncertain, whereas the Cutelaba, I can see that's way more certain for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because I feel like both of them can get a TKO on each other. Both of them can decision each other. It just depends on how the game plan unfolds, right? For Ion Cutelaba, I could see him literally just using that wrestling, holding Spann down, and just trying to smash ground and pound for 3 straight rounds. But I could also see Ryan Spann doing literally the exact same thing to Ion Cutelaba. So whoever's able to exact their game plan is going to be the victor. Duh, common sense, right? That's like the most common sense fucking statement that you could make. But I do think that's ultimately how this fight's going to go down. So I just think that was crazy. I just wanted to mention that because that is the only minus money prop that we have on the main card for this docket at UFC Vegas 54. I'm going with Ryan Spann, brother. And you know what? I like the points too. I've been playing out all the possibilities. I'm like Doctor Strange with all the fucking 1,000, different multiverses and possibilities happening. And I was like, I like Ryan Spann. This dude was so coveted in the last couple of fights, but he dropped one to Johnny Walker. That one was kind of fluky, right? Either way. And then you get submitted by Anthony Smith. That hype has been derailed a little bit. And I think that we can take advantage of that with that plus 175 money line, which I'm going to be honest with you folks. I'm going to rock with Ryan Spann on points here at plus 400, but I think the safest bet is Ryan Spann money line plus 175. So if you are a betting person, which I'm sure you are, that's why you're tuned into this program, I think that's the safe play right there for Ryan Spann. Now, if you're a Ion Cutelaba fan, AJ, are you taking that minus money for the TKO at minus 125, or are you taking that minus 210 money line instead?
If I'm going for Cutelaba, man, I think I'm taking the money line, that minus 210 money line, because whether he gets it done by decision or KO, you're kind of safe either way. But, I mean, the KO can happen, and you still get paid out more for the money line than you do the KO anyway. So I take that money line all day. Yeah,
gotcha, brother. Now, obviously, you're rolling with Spann, too, so you're saying points. That's the way to go for the prop?
Yeah, my actual pick, money Spann by points. I like that plus comeback, and I'm actually honestly kind of surprised that he's plus 175 for the money line too. So I agree with you, safe bet right there. But if you're going to take him on that money line, might as well take the points too.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes down to it, the over and under is 1.5 rounds. So the odds makers think this one's going to get done early. I am picking the over. You're rocking with the over too. Yeah.
Yeah,
brother. All right, brother. So those are two explosive light heavyweight matchups right there for the two headline bouts at UFC Vegas 54. But this next bout that we have right here, AJ, I think this is a sleeper bout. This is the definition of a sleeper bout. This is dangerous, the very dangerous Davey Grant versus Louis. I think he's like the last ninja or something like that, Smolka, but Louis Smolka, brother, this is a dude who I think does not get nearly the credit he deserves when it comes down to his skill set, his repertoire. This is a former flyweight who moved up to bantamweight. He's 3-3 in the bantamweight division. But when you're a flyweight moving up to a bantamweight, kind of 500, struggling a little bit, trying to find your footing, and you're fighting an experienced veteran in the game in Davey Grant, who is 4-5 in the UFC, but he brings it every single fight. This is a dude who had a split decision loss against Adrian Yanez, a unanimous decision loss against Chito Vera, which I thought was a lot closer than people give him credit for. You knocked out Jonathan Martinez, you knocked out Martin Day. I mean, brother, Davey Grant is on a pretty damn good streak in terms of performances. Wins? No. But performance? Yes. So my question to you is that Louis Smolka, he's the one that's going to be bringing the biggest difference in style from Davey Grant's last 4 or 5 opponents, given that he is wicked on the ground, bro. His submissions, his grappling is legitimate. He has 8 knockouts, 7 submissions, but he got stiffed in his last fight against Vince Morales, brother. Like, that was one where, I mean, everything was going, he was flowing, and next thing you know, he's face down, ass up on the canvas. So you get a dangerous test in the dangerous Davey Grant, and you're Louis Smolka. What is the best path to victory? Do you want to stand and strike with Davey Grant? Like, is that the plan after you just got stiffed in your last fight? Or are you immediately saying, I'm going to Imanari roll and try to dive for your knees? I'm trying to heel hook you and destroy the knees? I mean, what is your game plan if you're Louis Smolka?
Man, if I'm Louis Smolka, I think we're getting Davey Grant to be comfortable on the feet, think that we're going to do the strike match, because Davey Grant's a very nice wrestler, man. He can provide that pressure the entire time. And I think if Louis Smolka does that same aspect that Adrian Yanez, started off with, where he's striking, we're getting comfortable, we think we're going to make this a Tanny battle, and then he shoots to the ground and starts working his ground game. Because Smolka is amazing on the ground, but whenever the other guy is the one dictating how things are going, he's not the best, man. Matt Schnell's able to get him in that triangle choke. Casey Kenny, one-arm guillotine. There's a lot of really talented other fighters out there that have been able to get one up on Louis Smolka, man. And Davey Grant, he may not be as technical as a Casey Kenny, but he's also very, very dangerous, man. He might be just as dangerous as a Casey Kenny as far as the ground game, man. So this dude, Davey Grant Louis Smolka has a massive hill to climb in this fight right here, but he started off with a lot of heat. So if he can kind of get back to his winning ways, start off on the feet, kind of get things comfortable, and then surprise Louis Smolka, get him to the ground, make it his fight. That's my biggest path to victory I can see for Louis Smolka. What about you? Because this is a challenging one, man. Like I said, this is a massive hill for Smolka to climb.
I think it's tough because you're going to have to do a mixture of striking with Davey Grant, which is not the smartest thing to do, and trying to get inside and grapple a little bit. I mean, Davey Grant is no slouch when it comes to the grappling. The man has 8 submission victories. He's been submitted 4 times, though. So they both kind of share that. Louis Smolka has 7 submission victories. He's been submitted 3 times. So both of them are live and die by that submission in a way. Both of them can knock each other out. I just think that when it comes down to it, man, Davey Grant is so unorthodox with his striking. Look what he did to Jonathan Martinez. It's just a big winging left hooks and over the top and all. I just think Davey Grant is levels above in the striking and in the power. And Louis Smolka is gonna have to counter strike and see what he can do. Maybe they're going to exact a game plan to be able to get a decision on Davey Grant or find some holes, because let's not forget, Louis Smolka is fighting out of Team Oyama. Guess what? Team Oyama is now home of the new UFC strawweight champion, Carla Esparza. So maybe we're going to get a little bit of hype over there. Either way, I do think the line is correct in terms of the wagering. Davey Grant is a minus 300 favorite with a plus 240 comeback for Louis Smolka. Makes sense to me. I think Davey Grant is the hotter fighter at the moment. And when we're talking about a prop bet for this, Davey Grant on points, plus 250. Louis Smolka on points, plus 500. Now, for submission props, Davey Grant is plus 900 on submission, plus 650 for Smolka, and on TKO, plus 250 on Davey Grant, and plus 650 on Louis Smolka, brother. So when it comes down to it, man, it's really looking to me like points for Davey Grant is what the odds makers favor the most. What do you favor off those props?
Out of all those ones, it'd be that Grant by points too, man. But also that TKO. Would you say plus 200? That TKO.
Plus, it's going to be plus 250 for Davey Grant.
250. That's not a bad one, man. Because he really does. And the bad thing for Smolka, he's been a little bit chinny as of late. I think he has the better striking down the pipe, the 1s and 2s. But Grant has those big looping power that comes across, and he's so unorthodox that you're not going to see the strike happen, and that's when you get KO'd. So there might be some value in that plus 250 TKO, man. I like that one. Personally, though, I'd take a little bit of the safer bet, at least in my opinion. Davey Grant by points.
You know what? That's interesting you say that, because even though Louis Smolka did he got stiffed in his last fight. I wouldn't say he's most chinny. That was the only time he's ever been knocked out. You know what I mean? So it's not like he has these constant cases of just getting dropped all the time. But I will say it wasn't the best look. So recency bias, I get it. But for Davey Grant, I do agree. I like the points. We're looking at plus 250 for Davey Grant. I like the points on that one. AJ likes the points. The over and under on that one is 2.5 rounds. So it looks like we're taking the over on that one. A lot of overs thus far. A lot of points for the props thus far. However, sometimes that's how these fights can go, man. We can see a crazy knockout or a crazy submission close, but I think these are the type of fights that it's going to lend to some of those drawn out long wars, you know what I mean, which should be fun. So Davey Grant by decision is the pick for the Bloody Water podcast. Now, this is the interesting one. Number 1 contender, Katlyn Chookagian in the flyweight division versus the number 9 ranked Amanda Ribas. However, she's ranked number 9 in the strawweight division. She is unranked in the flyweight division. She's 1-0 right now, AJ, in the flyweight division. Her first victory was against Paige Van Zandt, which now looking back on it, I believe that was Paige Van Zandt's last fight in the UFC, which then she got booted to bare knuckle fighting, and then she's lost every fight there. It just didn't age very well. I mean, Paige Van Zandt was a very, very talented fighter at one point, and she still is a talented fighter, but it hasn't aged well. Now, Amanda Ribas, brother, had a ton of steam on her, brother. She was 11-1, I think, you know what I mean, as of recently. She is 11-2 now because she had lost to Marina Rodriguez. But aside from that, basically been able to starch everybody or win against everybody. She defeated Mackenzie Dern, Randa Marcos, no longer in the UFC, Virna Jandiroba, like we said earlier, Paige Van Zandt. But that Marina Rodriguez loss kind of spoke volumes, especially because Marina Rodriguez is long for the division, has bombs in her hands. Now, how does that get emulated by Katlyn Chookagian? Well, she's very, very long. Does she have the same bombs in her hands? No, she doesn't. And we know that. But that's okay, because this is the thing that's given me the most trouble about why this matchup was made in the first place. Katlyn Chookagian is 5'9". Amanda Ribas is 5'3". Katlyn Chookagian has a 68-inch reach. Amanda Ribas has a 66-inch reach. So stature-wise, I mean, Katlyn Chookagian is going to, dominantly be the longer, dictating the pace type fighter, dictating the range type fighter, I guess I should say. Can Amanda Ribas come in there recklessly without eating a two-piece from Katlyn Chookagian all day long? Like, I just don't see how she closes the distance here unless she just does something crazy reckless.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I'm glad you pointed out the Marina Rodriguez fight because that's exactly how I see it going, man. The range that Chookagian has is going to be such a barrier to entry for Amanda Ribas. It's going to be very difficult, and like you said, unfortunately, you're going to have to get wild. You're going to have to get crazy on an entrance, something like that. Probably eat one. The worst is when you see that punch coming, you trust out. I gotta eat this to get inside. Like I gotta eat it, whatever. And that's what Amanda Ribas is gonna have to do, man. She's gonna have to eat a couple to actually get on the inside. But once she does, then she can really start working because I think she might have a better ground game than Katlyn Chookagian, excuse me. But it's just getting past that reach is going to be a whole different issue right there. Then and I really can see this entire fight going off where Chookagian's just staying on the back foot, staying at range, piecing her up, getting the point fight going, winning that entire thing. It's just the likely outcome to me. What do you see the most likely outcome here too, Derick?
Chookagian on points. That's the most likely all day long, like all day long. You know what I mean? And this is what the blonde fighter is known for. And I think this is partially why the UFC was a little hesitant on re-signing her because she's like, yeah, you're like literally the second best in the division, but you're like not very exciting to watch. So like you're not a draw and it's really not going to work out in that aspect. However, I love the blonde fighter, man. I think that she's such a talented fighter. I think that if Valentina Shevchenko was not the champion, she would easily be the champion right now. And you'd be, you know what I mean? It would just be a point fight to the death, you know what I mean? Against the blonde fighter. How are you going to beat her? Now, this is my question. Amanda Ribas, she is known to be a dangerous grappler. And Katlyn Chookagian recently in her pre-fight presser, she was like, Amanda Ribas like a B-level grappler. She's not nearly the best grappler that I've fought recently. And I was like, that's kind of bold words right there. But then if you look at Katlyn Chookagian's hit list, I mean, she's not wrong, you know? I mean, Jennifer Maia, she just pieced her up right there in her last fight. That was the rematch. So she has 2 wins over Jennifer Maia, a win over Viviane Araujo, a win over Cynthia Calvillo. Yeah, she got finished with those body shots by Andrade. She beat Antonina Shevchenko. I mean, brother, so let's take a look. Let's take a little more of a detailed look in Katlyn Chookagian's hit list right here because for Amanda Ribas, it's a little less deep. Now, we keep going past those fights. She has another win over Joanne Wood, Alexis Davis, Mara Bohella, Irene Aldana, Lauren Murphy. I mean, Sajara Eubanks. Is she wrong when she says that Amanda Ribas isn't the best grappler that she's fought? I feel like she's not wrong.
I feel like she's not wrong. There's a couple other really good ones in there. I agree with her. Right? She's not the best she's fought, but Amanda Ribas is getting better, so you can never discount her, man.
I mean, listen, she fights at the Marcelo Ribas team, brother. Her dad is a legend. Like her jiu-jitsu is incredible. And it's not just her jiu-jitsu, it's her judo, man. She's also a judo black belt too. So that's what's going to be interesting. Some of those little trips and throws. Is she going to be able to get Chookagian on her back? And if she does, well, Katlyn Chookagian has been training at Renzo Gracie's forever under John Danaher. So it's not like Chookagian is a rookie it's not like she's an Angela Hill where she's like, oh yeah, I don't have any grappling. Like Katlyn Chookagian has pretty phenomenal grappling, but does she ever have to use it? No. Why would you use it when you have a pistol of a jab that you just pop in people's face all day long? So that's really how I see this fight. Grappler versus striker. Chookagian is clearly the striker, but if it hits the ground, what are the odds? Do you think Amanda Ribas, if it hits the ground, she's just on her like white on rice? You know what I mean? Because when Ribas had Marina Rodriguez on her back basically the whole entire first round, she wasn't really submission hunting like that. You know what I mean? She was more controlling. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it all depends to me on which round it goes down. You know, if Ribas can keep Chookagian on the ground in the first round, I think she's going to do the same she did in Marina Rodriguez, not get tired, be patient, kind of play that position over submission game. It happens in the second and the third, then I see Ribas hunting the submission because if she can't win the point battle on the feet, she's going to have to get it at the ground. And usually, you know, she needs some damage to at least win that one, especially the way the judges have been going.
Absolutely, brother. And I guess this is the last question before we move into some of the wagers. Katlyn Chookagian, you know that she is a former bantamweight who moved down to flyweight, right? So it's like, for me, I'm like, the size discrepancy, I feel like is going to be pretty massive in this one. Not just height and frame, but like size. Like someone is just like a bigger person. Is this too tall of a task for Amanda Ribas, who is taking, this is like kind of like a win-win for her, you know what I mean? Even if you lose, it's not the worst thing in the world because you fought the number one contender in the division up. And if you win, you're the number one contender and you might not be fighting for a title immediately, but you're basically locked in there for, like, if you get another win, you're probably going to be fighting Valentina Shevchenko. So is this too much of a step, or do you think this is just the perfect risk reward opportunity?
Man, I think the only way this is too big of a step for Amanda Ribas, I like this fight for Amanda a lot. Like I said, I'm a big Amanda Ribas fan. I like this fight if she can get this one going. But the only way this is going to be too big of a step for her is if she wins and then they give her they give her to the bullet right away, man. I think that's the only way this path can backfire. I like this both for Amanda Ribas, man. If she can get this going, be the number one contender, there's a lot of steam going her way, man. And 11-2 is a very good record for the women's division. Unfortunately, like I said, massive mountain in front of her, but it could pay off very, very well. The only bad part, like I said, man, you win this one and they do give you the instant shot to the title. You're facing one of the best in the game to ever do it in the bullet, man. So that's kind of a double-edged sword you got to look forward to. Like, yeah, I'm going to be fighting for the championship. Yeah, I'm going to be fighting the bullet. Damn.
Yeah, damn. I think that's really what we could say right there. All right, let's talk some props. Katlyn Chookagian, she's a minus 155 favorite in terms of the money line. Plus 130 underdog is Amanda Ribas, which I'm a little surprised. I feel like Chookagian should be a larger favorite than that personally. But our favorite prop, we're going to jump straight to it. Katlyn Chookagian on points. Minus 125. So I guess I lied to you, AJ. This is the other minus money right here. But Katlyn Chookagian on points should be minus 500 because that's what she does. She has 14 decision victories. Like, that is literally what Katlyn Chookagian does. So minus 125 on points. For Amanda Ribas by submission, we're looking at plus 650. So the odds makers aren't really sold that she's going to just come in there and submit Katlyn Chookagian. The other best prop for Amanda Ribas right now is going to be points at plus 300. So if you're a Ribas fan, if you're betting in favor of Ribas, what do you like better, the submission prop or the points prop?
Man, the submission prop.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I thought those would be backwards, man. Because points are for Amanda Ribas to win a point battle. That's a very large task to take on, man. I can easily see a submission happening faster and kind of more out of nowhere. You know, that's a little bit more apt for me to happen than that point battle, because that's a massive battle to have, man. What about you?
I mean, for a Ribas to win on points, Katlyn Chookagian just had a rough day at the office. You got held down, you got put in crucifix positions, you got outpointed on the feet. Everything went wrong for you. For Ribas to get that submission, though, I can't see it happening. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I just don't think it's very likely, but I can still see it happening. So yeah, I'd probably roll with the submission for Ribas if I was rolling with her, but we're not. We're rolling with Katlyn Chookagian, and I'm actually rolling with that minus 125 points. I think that is better than the minus 155 money line. But ultimately, man, I mean, it is your choice. It's really not that much of a difference. Minus 125, minus 155. Either way, Katlyn Chookagian on points. Now, just for the sake of saying it, Chookagian TKO prop, we're looking at plus 500 and submission prop plus 1600. So I think points is the fair bet right there. So, brother, we're on quite a streak right here. We have 4 points props in a row, meaning that we have the over on that one, and that is 2.5 rounds. So, hopefully this will be a kind of boring card if everything goes to fruition, but hopefully it's boring in a good way for us. Katlyn Chookagian on points, that's the pick. All right, now this is where we go into some discrepancy right here, brother. Now, this is going to be a banger, and this is obviously why they kick off the main card with these fights. This isn't the first fight, but the first 2 fights, you need them to be bangers. And this is the second fight of the main card. Frank the Crank Camacho. We haven't seen the man in quite some time, since his knockout loss to Justin James, man, back in when COVID kind of first started, brother. It was like the beginning of 2020. And he's fighting Manuel Roberto Torres. And this is a dude who is a finisher, bro. He's 12-2, 5 knockouts, 6 submissions. But AJ, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room regarding the situation is that Torres brought Dana White to his feet on the Dana White Contender Series when he knocked out his opponents. Something England. I don't remember his first name, but England is his last name. Now, I was like, when I was watching it back, I actually remember watching this fight. And when I was watching it back, I was all like, this dude, like, this is the one where I'm like, why do you get credit for this? You poked a dude in the eyes and then punched him after the ref just was like, no, whatever, you're good, and then fucking finished him, and that was it. So it wasn't a real finish. I'm not saying that he wasn't on track to finish him. He looked incredible, with that very tall, upright Muay Thai stance, front kicks to the face. Like, he looked great. But you poked a dude in the eye, he goes back like, hey, ref, and the referee's like, huh, and then you just finish him, and that's it. I thought that was super unfair. I thought that you shouldn't get awarded a contract for that. Personally, I think you should have to redo that and get a real true finish. But either way, if you look at his last 5, 4 of his 5 victories, or 4 of his last 5 fights, he's finished his opponents in the first round. Rear naked choke, guillotine, and punches. What do you make of this situation, brother?
Yeah, I agree with you, Derick, on that. And, I don't think he should have won that fight that way,
No.
But what I liked about I didn't like any of the way that fight was unfolding. I agree he was Torres was on the path to win. He was looking a little bit better. But if you poke somebody in the eye, and it is what it is. Like it's not the it shouldn't be happy to win the fight that way.
Yeah.
What I did like about that fact though is he looked at the Torres, looked at the ref, saw he was doing anything, and then shook his head like, "Nah, brother, you ain't escaping this one."
Yeah.
I like that killer aspect in a fighter, whether it was an eye poke or not, or whether the glove slipped in, whatever it is, because you can even see he pushed up on it's all besides the point, man. I like the killer instinct that Torres comes in with this one, and it's going to make for an interesting fight because Frank the Crank Camacho is no small task at all, dude. This dude is no slouch on a rough test, but one of the ultimate litmus tests, man. We talk about litmus tests all the time, and that's what Torres has faced in front of him, man. And I agree with you. That nice long stance that Torres takes where he's kind of tall, lanky, he has the wide legs. He's looking good. The only problem with that, your chin's a little up in the air, and Frank Camacho has absolute bombs in his hands, man. So this is going to be a very fun test for Torres coming forward, as well as for Camacho, man, because if he gets this win and takes the heat that Torres has going forward, it's going to be looking nice for Camacho, man. But that's also another hard one to do because Torres is a wild man.
So AJ, you're a fan, right? And you're casual, not you, but I'm hypothetically casual fan. And you're saying, and I'm your buddy, right? And I'm like, hey, AJ, bro, you're telling me to tune into this Frank Camacho versus Manuel Torres fight. Why am I watching this dude Camacho fight? He's 2-5 in the UFC. He's 1-4 in his last 5. Why did this matchup get made against this UFC debutant? This makes no sense to me, right? But I'll make it make sense for you right now, right? 3 of the last 5 people that Frank Camacho has fought and he has lost to are the top of the fucking top. Beneil Dariush, Jeff Neal, and Drew Dober, brother. And I'll tell you what, man, yeah, you get finished, you lose, whatever. This is the top of the heap. Now, this veteran in Frank Camacho has been around forever, who has 17 knockout victories to his name, gets matched up after a very long layoff against a dude making his UFC debut. So, AJ, you tell me, either the UFC brass is doing Camacho a favor or they're saying, Torres, since you got that controversial win on the Contender Series, we're throwing you to the dogs, brother. I mean, how are you weighing it on the scales?
Well, one, to answer your first question, man, why I think this one got made is because maybe not now. Maybe on the skid, Camacho, not necessarily right now, but in the locker room, the name Frank Camacho holds a lot of weight and makes people shake in their boots, man. That's right. One of those ones where you're like, shit, I'm going up against a Crank, like, damn, like, all right, bro, we got a fight on. Yeah. Now, I think they're throwing Torres to the dogs on this one. I think, and you could even see it, both Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby were next to Dana White. Dana White was pumped up for the knockout, but the other two dudes were like, should this be this one? I think this is a get back, man. I think this is a get back saying, okay, yeah, sure, you won that one, but we're feeding you to an absolute savage in Frank Camacho. How you going to perform, young man? Let's see. Yeah. And will he step up to the test? I don't know. But yeah, I think the real thing here, though, Frank Camacho holds a lot of weight in the locker room, man. A lot of people know this dude's a savage, and you cheat him light, or you take him lightly, it's going to be a short night for you. You're going to be sleeping.
Absolutely, and that's the kind of beauty is that you could see this as a get back for Camacho, but he also has all the pressure, right? There's no pressure on Torres. Torres has everything to win. Camacho has everything to lose. So it's vice versa on that aspect too. Either way, I think this is going to be a fun matchup. The long, lanky, rangy kicks of Torres are going to be interesting because Camacho wants to get forward, get in your face, throw big bombs, mostly utilize the boxing. He does have some good head kicks and some of that good stuff like that, but we might see a new revitalized Frank Camacho. That's the rough thing with these fighters taking long layoffs is that we haven't seen him fight in 2 years. All right, well, where are you going to go here? You know what I mean? Like, or in a year or something like that. It's been a minute since we've seen him fight. That's the point. But I think that the biggest test is going to come in the grappling exchanges, right? Torres has a nasty guillotine, a nasty rear naked choke. He did get knee barred recently, so he's not susceptible to losing fights via submission, but Frank Camacho's not the dude who's going to come in and just try to submit you. So worst case scenario, you get rocked, you dive for Camacho's legs, and you say, all right, that's going to be the variable. That's where I really don't know, brother, to be honest, because the man has 5 knockouts, 6 submissions. So anything is up for game right here. So let's talk wagers. Plus 130 is Frank Camacho, the veteran with all the experience, with all the knockout prowess. He's the underdog going into this fight. On paper, I get it. In real life, watching fights, I don't really get that. That doesn't make sense to me. That sounds like a live dog because Torres is minus 155 favorite. Now, you tell me what's the best prop right here. for TKOs between the two. Frank Camacho on TKO plus 325. Manuel Torres on TKO plus 215. So they think that Torres has a better shot at getting the TKO. In terms of points, plus 350 for Camacho and plus 500 for Torres. So what do you make? And lastly, tell me your pick, and that's obviously going to lend into, do you think this fight goes to finish, or do you think that it goes to a decision?
Did you say the decision ones or the points one again?
So the points prop for Camacho is plus 350. The points prop for Torres is plus 500.
Yeah. Okay, so I see it the exact same way, man. I see Camacho more likely to win that point battle, but I think Torres can get the KO, and that's actually what I was going for, man. Torres KO round 3. I think he's more likely to get the stoppage, and I was actually surprised with the money line right there as well. I thought it was going to be switched. I thought Camacho was going to be the favorite, Torres coming in as the underdog. We'll see what it is, but I kind of like that Torres by KO money right there, man. I forgot the number already again, but I think that one's more likely because Frank Camacho, he can always depend on that old school veteran, mindset mentality and make this one a point fight. So if it goes that way, Camacho by points, but I like the Torres by KO. And like I said, I already forgot the numbers. So please remind me.
Plus 215 for the Torres TKO. So
yeah, I like that.
That's interesting, brother. I'm rolling with Frank Camacho in this fight. I think the veteran prowess is going to get it done, and I'm actually going to take a flyer on his prop with the TKO at plus 325. However, AJ, this is going to be the big key for you and for the folks who are listening at home. If you are going to rock with me on this Frank Camacho pick, I advise you, this is another one, take the money line. Plus 130, it's the safest pick. No matter how he gets it done, whatever plethora of ways, I think that plus 130 on Frank Camacho is already live dog spelled all over it. Now, AJ, you're rocking with Torres here. So are you going to solidify that TKO on Torres?
I'm solidifying, brother. TKO round 3. I think that's the way Torres is going to get it done, especially on a counter shot or something like that. Little slip action we see going. I like that plus 250 coming back.
All right, brother. So the over and under is 1.5 rounds on this one. So you're taking the over, yeah?
I'm taking the over.
And I think that if a TKO does happen for Camacho, I like the under. I think it's got to happen quick. I don't think that this goes out into the third round. I don't know if Camacho is going to be able to put him out in that, you know what I mean, that way the fight goes. But I'm rolling with the experience once again. I do think that Torres is a stud. He's been signed to the promotion for like 7 months or something like that, so it's been a long time for him to get his first fight. But the point here is that Frank Camacho is still only, even though it sounds like this dude's like 45, been in the UFC forever, this dude is 32 years old in the prime of his fucking career. Just had a nice layoff, let the body rejuvenate, let the mind rejuvenate. I think he's coming to bring some damage, brother. So let's go. That's going to be the difference between us. I got Camacho, AJ got Torres, and we can move on to the last bout of the main card, which is Jake Hadley, another Dana White Contender Series prospect, I guess you could say, against Allan Nascimento. Now, another one. Jake Hadley comes in. He's the former Cage Warriors flyweight champion, right? Minus 210 favorite, brother, with a plus 175 comeback on Allan Nascimento. This is why I was saying some of these lines, I'm just like, we have some big love for some of these prospects, brother, because Allan Nascimento, let's not forget that in his last fight, right, which was his UFC debut, he fought Tagir Ulanbekov. And he lost he lost a split decision, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he lost a split decision. Now, AJ, let me tell you, is that not super impressive given that Tagir Ulanbekov is not just a very talented prospect, actually contender himself? I'm pretty sure the man's ranked, right? So you lost a split decision to a ranked fighter. You get thrown in against a regional champion who's making his debut, and you're the underdog. Like kind of like a massive underdog. Not a massive, but like a favorite, like a sizable underdog. Why is this happening, brother? What are the people seeing in these Dana White Contender Series fighters that I'm not seeing here? Because Jake Hadley's very talented prospect, but like I said, submission for submission, both of these dudes are savage, but Nascimento has way more experience. So what do you make of this?
Yeah, I'm not sure because this was a lot closer to a fight, man. This took me, I'd say, a good 30, 45 minutes to kind of battle back and forth on like who's going to actually get this win. I was 100% expecting the odds to be flipped, man. I was expecting Nascimento to be the favorite, Hadley coming in with the plus money. I'm not sure what they're seeing. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you guys have seen the TLDR, I'm going for Hadley. I think he's going to get it done. But this one was a coin toss battle for me, man. And I was expecting to rock with the underdog on this one because this is a great chance for Hadley to prove himself, man. Nascimento is a real deal fighter, man. Very talented. Like Derick said, going up against Ulanbekov, I thought he could have won the fight. I mean, it was a split decision. It's up for debate, whether he won or lost. It could have happened, man. He could have been there. And just to solidify, this dude is the real deal, though. Like Guillen is a great fighter, and Nascimento to take him that far and consistently always be hunting the submissions showed real deal value in there. I'm honestly not really sure. And like I said, I'm going for Hadley, but I'm not sure how he's the favorite on this one because Nascimento is talented, bro.
Yeah, brother. That's why I feel like this is why it's our job to cut through the hype and to actually look at it for what it is and say, minus 210 for a Hadley. Once again, Nascimento, live dog. I see it with that plus money at plus 175. Either way, it's going to be a tough test. It's not going to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. And this is why this bout is kicking off the main card. Because Jake Hadley, brother, pressure. He's pressure. He's in your face. He wants to be in your face. He wants to use a slick, basic, and I do not say that in a derogatory sense. I love the term basic in terms of his fundamentals for his striking. Just a 1-2 down the pipe, stay in your face, cut off the cage, try to work the takedown. Once it gets you to the ground, let's look at his last 5. Decision win, 3rd round rear naked choke, 1st round TKO with punches, decision win, 2nd round rear naked choke. When he gets on you, brother, he's like white on rice. He's on you, brother, you know what I mean? But now the Nascimento, like you had said earlier, he's always submission hunting. So this kind of made me wonder if this turned into a nullification of the grappling into a straight kickboxing match, who do you see having the favorite?
Man, I see Hadley having the favorite, and that's actually what I was going to on this one, because I think Nascimento is better on the ground, but in that aspect, he's better on his back on the ground, where Hadley's better on the ground on top. So if it does get nullified, or even if there's a ground game, I think the judges will see it for Hadley just because of position. Yeah. But if both of those get nullified, which it easily can, I think Hadley has the more basic, the more technical striking. Sure, it might not be as flashy. Allan Nascimento's a little wild. He can get a little wild in there, which is fun to watch. But Hadley, those 1s and 2s down the pipe and that slick head movement he has, man, he looks good in there, and he's sharp. So I think Hadley has the little bit of striking advantage. What about you?
Well, I'd have to say Hadley has the advantage in terms of like the technical aspect of it, in terms of just, like I said, that beautiful basic style. I love the fundamentals, but I think that Nascimento has the wild man style. He's a little more grown into a body. He's a 30-year-old man. And when you're looking at it, brother, it just blows my mind. 13 submission victories, never been submitted, never been knocked out. Hadley has 4 submission victories, never been submitted, never been knocked out. That's really what it comes down to me right there. You know what I mean? His 2 losses in his last 5 for Allan Nascimento, or I guess 2 of the 3 losses in his... Yeah, all 3 of his losses in his last 5 are all split decisions. What does that mean to you? That the flip of a coin, he could be on a 5-fight win streak right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's tough right here. I think that Allan Nascimento is not really getting the credit he deserves. But either way, AJ, when it comes down to it, this is going to be a fun fight. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, 100%, Derick. And I like the way you said that. Flip of the coin, this dude could be on a 5-fight win streak. Yeah. And the reason I was going with Hadley on this one, because not so much flip of a coin, but flip of position. Whereas if Nascimento was on top in all of those split decision losses, he was on the top position hunting the submissions. Then he gets the win. But he's on the bottom, and he's always the guy hunting the submission on the bottom. Yeah. Leads to a lot of those decision losses. And that's why I went with Hadley for the decision, man. I think that's the... If it does go down to the ground, which it could get nullified, the judges love that position over submission, which sometimes doesn't make sense to me.
And I'll tell you, once again, this is another spot for like a young up-and-comer, a debutant, to really make some noise in their debut. However, Nascimento, coming off all these split decisions, he's probably going to be coming for the kill. So let's talk props. All right, man. Submission for Jake Hadley, plus 300. Submission for Nascimento, plus 525. So they think that Hadley has a better shot of getting the submission here. On points, Hadley plus 150. And I'm not going to lie, I actually like that prop. Plus 150 for Hadley on points, plus 400 for Nascimento on points. Plus 1,200 for Nascimento on a TKO, and plus 550 on Hadley for a TKO. So the odds makers really are favoring Hadley. So there might be something here that we're not seeing, because both of us are saying that Nascimento has a live dog written all over him in kind of all aspects of the game. But if one of the two were to get a submission, who do you think it is?
Man, I thought it'd be Nascimento until you just read out that prop list, which I kind of expecting Hadley to, but I don't see it that way, man. I think if there's going to be a submission, I think it's going to be Nascimento, especially because of the nerves that Hadley are coming into. He's going to be a little riled up, that the adrenaline's going to be pumping, so he's going to be not thinking calm and controlled. He's going to be thinking, I need to finish this dude, and that's when you get tapped.
Yeah, brother. So I'm actually going to rock with that one personally. I'm going to rock with Nascimento submission. And if he gets it done, brother, it's going to have to be something phenomenal, because Jake Hadley is no scrub by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said, this is just this is shoot the box, brother. This is high-level jiu-jitsu versus high-level jiu-jitsu in Jake Hadley. I mean, he's fighting out of Team Fearless. Not really sure exactly who was in that camp. But either way, Man, this is low key. This is low key, but this is gonna be fun, man. Like, and I look at it. This is how you know these are the good fights, when we keep going back and forth with it. Like, well, it could go that way, and it's all coin flip at this point, brother. So I'm rolling with the submission. What are you rolling with? Prop? Are you rolling with taking the money line? What do you like?
No, man, I'm taking that prop, that, what'd you say, plus 125 prop for Hadley on points.
On points is gonna be plus 150.
150. I love that, man. I love that for Hadley, especially because that's how I think this fight's going down to points, and it's way better than that minus 210. So I'm taking that Hadley by decision on points, plus 125 or plus 150. I like that a lot.
Plus 150. So, yeah, I'm going to rock with the submission prop here for Nascimento. I think that he can get a finish. However, let's just hedge our bet and take the plus 175 money line. So you can see where I'm going here logically, folks. I think the money line in some of these cases for these live dogs, you have to take it just because. Now, obviously, if you want to take the submission for Nascimento, plus 525, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous right there. So what would you rather have? But either way, if there's just like an overall method of victory, Nascimento, plus 175. Money line, you gotta love it. So that is your main card, folks. Once again, we're basically on lock. Aleksandar Rakic, Ryan Spann, Davey Grant, Katlyn Chookagian. For both of us here at the Bloody Water Podcast, those are our locks for UFC Vegas 54. I'm rolling with Frank the Crank Camacho and Allan Nascimento in terms of the veteranship, more experience, and AJ's rolling with Manuel, Torres, and Jake Hadley with the young guns coming in and making some noise. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Now, AJ, brother, let's talk real fast. Let's talk real fast about the prelim pour-over. There's not really much to talk about, but I just wanted to talk about like two fights specifically before we get out of here. Michael Johnson versus Allan Patrick is what I should say. This is going to be a really explosive, low-key banger because who doesn't love to see Michael Johnson fight? This is a dude who is arguably almost beat all of the best fighters until he didn't. You know what I mean? We're talking about Khabib, we're talking about Justin Gaethje, we're talking about all the names, right? And this is a dude who also hasn't picked up a victory in his weight class since 2016. I don't think he has a win since 2018, but he's specifically in the lightweight division since 2016. Allan Patrick, he dropped that one to Mason Jones, I think, recently, man, and he had a fight before that or something like that. Listen, this is going to be fun, but for Michael Johnson specifically, man, I mean, how much longer can the man keep doing it? Like, he's one of the old dogs. He's one of the OGs, you know what I'm saying? So how much longer do you think the man can do it?
Yeah, man, he's one of the old G's that everyone still thinks he's on the rise. Like, he's still an up-and-comer, you know? Like, it's crazy, man. How long can Michael Johnson keep doing it? How old is he right now? What, 30?
Let me see. Right now, it looks like 35. My man is 35. You see that?
35 right. On Tapology, man. I think he can keep going. You know, a couple more years. I'd say, 3 to 5 more years. I can see Michael Johnson keep doing it, especially because he's well-rounded. You know, he doesn't need to solely rely on the hands and the feet to get a knockout. This dude can wrestle. You can take it to the ground. He can decision a fight right here. He can lean on that veteran mentality and make sure he gets things done. Yeah, I think he keep going for quite a while, man. I'm excited to watch this fight and see how it goes down because Patrick is no slouch and going to make this one a very entertaining fight.
Absolutely. And Patrick, like I did say, he dropped a fight to Mason Jones, but it got ruled a no contest because it was a fight he was losing massively against, but he got eye poked, so no contest. Before that, lost the decision against Bobby Green and got TKO'd against Scott Holtzman. His last win was actually against Damir Hadzovic, which is a big win, and a win over Stevie Ray. Now, for Michael Johnson, interestingly enough, one of his last losses in his last 4 was against Stevie Ray, majority loss. So, interesting. Either way, it should be a fun fight. I just wanted to talk about that one as one that folks should be tuning into. And then lastly, AJ, because this is another ranked fight that's just on the prelims. Viviane Araujo versus Andrea Lee. This is a big one, man. This is a big one because Andrea Lee, she can build off of her momentum right now with this win. I mean, her jiu-jitsu is legit. She got like that American jiu-jitsu style, you know what I'm saying? But Viviane Araujo is a tank in the women's 125-pound division. It's going to probably try to move forward, going to try to grapple and try to hold Andrea Lee on her back without allowing her to use her jiu-jitsu. Who do you think gets the better of the two in this matchup, Araujo or Lee? Who are you favoring?
I'm rocking with Araujo on this one, man. I used to love KGB Lee for the longest time. Just she's really been on a letdown streak as of late, man. And I think Araujo, like you said, man, she's a powerhouse. She's in there. She's a tank. A lot of fun fights that she's had, not necessarily came out on top on all of them, but a very fun, entertaining fighter nonetheless. I'm rocking with Araujo. What about you, Derick?
Yeah, brother. I think that Araujo is probably going to be the right pick for this one just because of the power aspect of it, but I would not count out Andrea Lee to pull an upset. I mean, she has been able to make it happen as of late, so Let's take a look one more time, brother. So what we see here is Andrea Lee, right? And it looks like Cynthia Calvillo, Antonina Shevchenko are her last 2 victories, both finishes, right? Which are big finishes. But before that, look at those last 3 losses. Roxanne Modafferi, Lauren Murphy, Joanne Wood, excuse me. So, it'll be interesting. But Andrea Lee, never count her out, but I like Araujo here. And then the last one to talk about is this one right here at the bottom, brother. Nick Maximov versus Andre Petroski. And it won't let me scroll down anymore, so I guess that's all we're going to have to say about it. But this is Nick Maximov, who is a real deal wrestling threat. He ties the middleweight record with Marvin Vettori for most takedowns in a fight with 11, right? He did that in his last fight. But Andre Petroski is a dude who has every single win by finish. Whether it's the first round, second round, third round, he's been able to finish everybody. So in a war of attrition, I think Nick Maximov gets it done. Way more cardio than Petroski. However, he has shown he has a good chin too. But Petroski, man, I don't know, man. He's a good fighter. What do you think about this one?
I almost made this my sleeper, Derick, but just because I could see this going a lot of fun or a very boring wrestling match. That's the only reason I didn't make it a sleeper is because I'm leaning a little bit more towards a very boring wrestling match. Because Petroski, as much as he is a finisher, he's a wrestler at heart, and it's one of those ones where ego comes into play, and once one guy takes you down, it's like, no, fuck no, I'm the wrestler, I'm taking you down. And then we're locked in a will of attrition or a battle of attrition right there. I like Maximov a lot in this fight. I think he's the better fighter. Petroski, he's still on the come up. What about you?
Yeah, Petroski is still on the come up in comparison to Maximov, who has been a very game fighter, also a Dana White Contender Series fighter. This is a dude who he's the Nate Diaz prodigy, right? And I really don't need to talk about that too much. But what's most important is that when you look at Nick Maximov and you look at his last fight, which was a very telling fight against Punahele Soriano, he was able to outwill Soriano in just terms of grappling. And Soriano, bombs in his hands, great wrestler, and he was able to do that against him. Petroski, who is kind of known for gassing out come round 3, I think it's just going to be a long night, and I think he's going to decision him, and it's going to be an easy win. So Nick Maximov, just out of curiosity, folks, he's a minus 380 favorite in this one. I think that's going to be a safe play. Petroski, plus 300 underdog. I'd roll with Maximov in that one. And with that being said, folks, that is your prelim pour-over for UFC Vegas 54. Now, brother, listen, this is the outro. I don't got much to say other than tune in. Only 11 fights on the card, so it's a little bit of a letdown from the super marathon that was UFC 274, like 15 fights or whatever. Even one of them got canceled and ended up being 14, but a lot of people have the opportunity to make a name. A lot of people have the opportunity to shut down the young gun, to play the gatekeeper role. I'm talking about the Frank Camachos of the world, the Allan Nascimentos, even though the man only has one fight in the UFC, but he still have that gatekeeper role. And at the end of the day, man, the main event, which I think has been a little overshadowed, maybe, I guess I should say, but that has high implications, man. Rakic and Blachowicz, brother, you gotta love to see it, because this is more or less a title eliminator in a weird way. Glover Teixeira is going to need a new challenge to face, because remember we were talking about this, we're like, Glover, you won the title, you did it, why don't you just hang it up and just walk into the limelight, you know what I mean? And you're like, but those pay-per-view points, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let my man get those, and hopefully, I hope the MMA karmic cycle can work in a way where Jan Blachowicz does eventually get another shot, a rematch at his belt. Wouldn't that just be the perfect story?
I think it'd be nice, man. It'd be good for Blachowicz as well, dude. It just kind of, like I said, they threw him. He went up, he did his thing, and then they threw him to the side. Once Glover came in, got a lot of disrespect right there. It'd be cosmically right to only see him at least get a shot to get it back, you know?
Even though this is apples to oranges, he got the Stipe Miocic treatment, brother. Because where is Stipe? Brother, someone. It's like, where's Waldo? Where is Stipe at? I mean, get the man a fight, please. Let him get a rematch for his belt, please. This is literally the dude who we were calling the greatest heavyweight of all time, who's just like been shelved after losing to Ngannou. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's neither here nor there, folks. Drop a like, subscribe if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the segments that we have here, if you enjoy the accuracy, the picks, the rankings, the wagers, the money lines, the parlays, everything, brother. We have so much going on over here. And once again, we always say it, but if you were to take any MMA program, any combat sports program, whether it is in the continental United States, whether it is in Africa, whether it's in Asia, or whether it's on Mars, I don't give a damn. We're the best one out there. AJ, you agree with me, right?
100%, Derick, the best MMA show out there. Whether you're watching Uncle Chael, whether you're watching, full reptile breakdown, whatever the case may be, you know where the accuracy is, man. We're winning money out here. And like Derick said, whether it's the accuracy, the points, the breakdown, the prop bets, whatever it is, the real thing, if you want to come win some money, you know where to tune in. It's right here in the Bloody Water Podcast, best MMA show in the entire world, universe. And we'll be here 2 shows a week with a bunch of clips. What else more do you want, man? We're winning you money. We getting you episodes. Come on now.
And all you need to do to return the favor is drop a like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends. And maybe if you're feeling frisky, head on over to our website, bloodywaterpodcast.com. Use code BWP10 for 10% off all merch. Get you a hoodie, get you a shirt, get you a tank top, get you whatever. The summertime rolling around, you know what time it is. So bloodywaterpodcast.com is also the home and the hub to where you could watch all our videos. You could listen for free on the whole entire night. You know what to do, folks. I don't even need to spiel on it any longer. We will catch you again on Monday for the post show for UFC Vegas 54. And until next time, peace.